The mathematics course with the rising 6th and 7th graders.
And what kind of concepts are you trying to bring into maybe the younger set?
I'm trying to work with, so it's off of the curriculum they will be learning this coming year. So it's the biggest concepts. I'm trying to break it down and just have the interesting parts for them so they know the general idea going into it, not drilling through all the little things. So for example, surface area and volume. We watched a movie called Flatland about the shapes. We're creating the shapes, so they have the images for them, and then from there we're going to go with the formulas for that. So that'll encounter in the curriculum this year. And then we're also touching on a few basics that they had last year, depending upon how advanced they were, and then going into this year, so Pythagorean theorem, square roots, a few things like that. Just so that they have knowledge, they have it, what's the right word? Definitely mastered from last year. They've mastered the knowledge from last year, and then they can apply it to the new things they'll encounter this coming year.
When I was sitting in your class last week, I heard, it might have been Kenny or it might have been somebody else, but they made a comment like, yeah, I'm never going to do calculus, math is for like Chinese kids, and these are the only ones that are really going to succeed. And I think there's like a lot of math phobia in general, but then especially like with the demographic and the background of these kids, like do you feel like you're up against that? How does it come in play, or is that irrelevant?
It's a big factor that's often ignored in the math classroom. I mean, when you go into an English classroom, you don't hear kids saying, oh, it's fine, I can't read either. But you hear kids all the time saying, I can't do math, it's fine. And so that is broken down to all aspects. So it's the cultural, it makes a big difference. So the Asian comment you said, that's just a stereotype that's applied. And so a lot of it is they don't realize what they're capable of, because they come into this class and they hear about like the Pythagorean theorem, some Greek man, and that's it. So for example, the 8th graders, one of their projects is that they have to research one particular mathematician in history or a person that was associated with math. And so I tried to gear towards their culture. So Hypatia was a woman who was killed for teaching mathematics. Then there was Benjamin Madaker, who was an African-American male who created the almanac. So these people that are not brought up in their classroom, that connect with their own culture, they're seeing now, so that hopefully they can appreciate it more. And then when it comes up in a year or two and they see it again, you know, they refresh it and they get excited about knowing it compared to the rest of the people in their class that weren't in this program when they go back to school.
And I noticed you're doing a lot of things with different mediums, the geometry
sketchpad, GSP,
and other things. You know, how is that part of your trying to like challenge the math phobia and make it relevant to these kids? Because I think a lot of people just feel, well, if I'm not going to do a math-oriented career, that I just don't need this. You know, so I just have to pass. So you leave me alone.
Right. Beyond the challenging aspect, just getting the kids to recognize that math is seen outside of the classroom and you will use it in the future, a lot of it is just rote. It can be rote and boring mathematics. So getting them to do fun things, even just, you know, watching a PowerPoint, the technology difference catches their attention because they think it might be something different. We're going to be next week when we do volume, I have a whole skit on Garfield, and then I have something on SpongeBob. And they get excited about it because they recognize it and they see it applied. For dilation, there was an episode that I took last week on dilations where SpongeBob blew up and then he shrank. And they applied that there, and they saw the mathematics that was in that and the language. And then as far as the GSP goes, today we did Geometry Sketchpad, which was a program on the software on the computer for the students to measure angles and lines, and they create the conjectures based on the relationships they see. So they use the laptops, the technology, they get excited about that. And then I'm not just giving them the definition, they're creating them on their own, which is what we did today for supplementary and congruent angles, which was nice to see. So they get excited when they come up with that on their own.
Cool. All right, so I'm gonna ask you two more. Okay. So, why did you decide that you wanted to teach math to students?
I've always loved math, and I was great at school up until high school. I just happened to be good at it. And then I actually got accepted to a program called Time 2000 at Queens College, which specializes in teaching mathematics. So from the first semester of freshman year, you're in the classroom the whole time. Granted, I had a scholarship, so that helped me out, but I never wanted to leave the classroom. I always loved it, helping kids. When you see that difference you make in them, it makes a big deal. I have certain students that I'll never forget that mathematics is so hard to them, and that you can get through to them, it makes the world a difference.
I know we're only halfway through the program, but are there any moments or things that comments that the students have made from this program recently that have stuck with you? Or?
Well, this is my second year doing the program. One particular student, Deepak, I had her last year in the 7th grade, and she came back this year for the 8th grade. And she had my email from when I had a question last year about a project she was emailing me about, and throughout the school year, she would send me messages, and one thing, she got a 94 on the math. She was so excited on her progress report. She let me know, which was great. But now, and then Kenneth came back, and he was here last year for the 8th grade, and he's helping out with the laptops and the technology aspect. The students are so excited to come back. But in the classroom, when you see that click, I think today Tariq was on the laptop, and he wasn't highlighting something correctly, he wasn't seeing the relationship. He moved something out of the way, and it just clicked for him, and he got it all. And then he even skipped ahead of us. Before I did the next question, he did it on his own and using the correct way on his own, which was great. So he didn't even need me there. That was good.
So I think that's it. Is there anything you want to add or you want to say to kind of represent your presence here?
Sure. I just want to thank everyone for this. This program is amazing with the students. They really get to know each other in the short time, and it's a great balance between both the core curriculum and the extra electives, which you a lot of times don't see. You kind of see one or the other in the programs, and the students make a difference across all the curriculums. They improve on everything. I've spoken to a lot of the students from last year, and they've seen a big dramatic change. And I've seen a couple in the classroom also, and they've been great. I've talked to teachers, and they've noticed improvements also. So all aspects of the program have been great for the kids.
So you'd like to see this continue?
Absolutely, yes.
All right, thanks.